we are just over 1 day away from Pass 7 opening, which means we are not that far away from Kingsland in my current KVK. So today I thought I would share with you guys what my best 5 army lineup is right now in Rise of Kingdoms, because well, it's been a few months since I've given you guys an account update, and I typically do a video in this series about 3 to 4 times a year. I try to do it once every quarter if I can, just so that way you guys know exactly what I am investing in here in Rise of Kingdoms, and you can see my progress over time. But before we begin, of course, what's going on, guys? Cheers. As you guys know, I am a partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms, so if you want more rock content, consider subscribing down below and clicking the bell. Tiger was climbing on my desk, which means she wants to say hi. She also said you have to like the video. With that being said, let's jump right in here and go over what my armies are throughout this KVK and how much stronger have I gotten now compared to last KVK. My first army, and this is none other than Bai Chi with Liu Che. Now this army hasn't changed since last KVK, but there are a couple of things that have changed on the equipment and on the armaments, the first of which being that I actually have the KVK helmet now, and it is iconic tier 2, which gives me an extra 1.5% infantry health. So this does bring up my infantry defense just a little bit compared to my set piece that I used to use on this army, but the downside is I only have, well, 1 piece for the Eternal Empire, which means I lost the 3% troop defense for that 2-piece set bonus. So I am currently working on another set of boots that I have over here on my Trajan. I actually got super lucky and I got the talent on the craft for my sturdy boots of the Eternal Empire, so I threw the infantry talent over there, of course. And if you guys want some luck on your next craft or refine, go ahead and drop a thumbs up down below. Maybe that'll get you just a little bit of luck. No guarantees, no promises, but you know, hey, it doesn't hurt, right? Anyway, as I mentioned in my recent video where I went over my mistakes in Rise of Kingdoms, I mentioned that I'll probably get this to iconic tier 4 before I actually move it over to my Bai Chi army. But until then, this is what we're rocking with, and everything else here is pretty much the same from an equipment perspective. But coming over to the armaments and inscriptions, you will see a change here, and that is the fact that I got my hands on rattling. So I got my hands on this by simply just having a rare inscription on another armament, and I used some conversion stones to flip it over to my pincer formation, and bada bing bada boom, we get 4% boost to smite damage, not bonus, boost to smite damage, which is really nice. Now in order to do this, I'm going to reference my spreadsheet over here. I did actually lose 1.5% attack, I gained 0.2% defense, I lost 3.2% health, but I gained 1.4% all damage. So a little bit of a trade-off. All in all, a 2.9% decrease in total stats, but if you factor in the health equivalent for the all damage, it's maybe about a 1.5% decrease in total stats, but I gained rattling. So to me, that was a no-brainer, especially because I can continue to refine these and make these even stronger. I would gladly lose 1.5% stats to gain 4% boost to smite damage, especially on Bai Chi Liu Che. Both of these commanders have a 5 target smite damage active skill, so they both are hitting like trucks, ladies and gentlemen. So that 4% boost is going to be really nice, especially on top of airtight, and we have toppler here. Whoo! And for what it's worth, I'm 8 out of 10 on my wish list for arch formation, and I have the instrument selected. So when I do get that special instrument inscription, I'm going to be converting it over to my pincer formation as well, and of course that means I'm going to be grabbing right of the 9 cauldrons for another 5% boost to smite damage, and we'll have that chance to ignore the target's defense. I feel like this is going to be a game changer. Getting demolisher here, it's going to be really nice. Another quick change that you might notice here is that I moved the Ring of Doom from my Bai Chi to another army, and I replaced it with the Horn of Fury, and I'll explain that later in the video, so stay tuned if you're interested as to why I swapped those accessories. Taking a look at the talent build for Bai Chi Liu Che, you can see I came all the way up here to the top of the smite tree, grabbing thunderous smite. We also push a little bit into the infantry tree, grabbing all of the march speed that I possibly can over here. I always go all in on the march speed for infantry. I grab strong body for the extra health. We have 2 points left over. I throw it into the defense. I know a lot of people grab hold the line, but I'm just one of those weirdos that would rather move faster in the open field than actually get a chance to take less damage for 2 seconds with a cooldown. I've almost never run hold the line on any infantry army ever, and I've always found that the march speed has worked really well. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is what I've been rocking with, and so far I like it. But moving on to my second army, that is none other than Ragnar Prime with CPO Prime. This army has not really changed at all for a couple of different reasons. So first of all, from an equipment perspective, the only change here is that I put the Ring of Doom with special talent onto this army as opposed to my Bai Chi Liu Che. Again, I'll explain that in a little bit, why I shuffled around all of my accessories, but besides that, nothing else has changed here from an equipment perspective. And same thing with my formation. I have no changes here, primarily because I really don't need to make any changes. All of them have really good stats. I've got Hunter, I've got Boiling Blood, we have a ton of nice skill damage here. So honestly, I feel like this formation is pretty much done for now, because I don't know how many more skill damage infantry commanders we're going to be getting in the game, and so I'm not really spending any of my transmutation stones or anything like that on getting more wedge formation for infantry. Of course, that could change in the future, but right now infantry wedge formation is kind of at the bottom of the list of things that I need to improve, because I've got a lot of other things on the to-do list, and this is pretty much good to go. I mean, I don't really need to change much about this. The equipment does need a couple of updates here. I'd like to get a talent on the legs. All in all though, I'm really happy with how this march has been performing, and so I don't really think I need to change anything. Of course, they are both 3 target skill damage AoE commanders. Not much else to say here. This is a tried and true march ever since Ragnar came into the game about a little less than a year ago, but they're both still hitting really hard. I really like it. When it comes to talents for my Ragnar with CPO, this is what we're rocking with. This is nothing surprising, honestly. If you've watched any of these videos, you grab Feral Nature, put 5 points in here, you get all the march speed that you can over here in the infantry tree. You also grab Strong of Body for the health. You have 6 points left over, so you put some in Double-Headed Axe, and then you also can put 3 points into Latent Power. And this is one of the only armies that actually uses Latent Power in Rise of Kingdoms, because 6% more additional damage is pretty nice for the Ragnar's active skill with expertise here. Additional damage every second for 2 seconds. You also have additional damage on your CPO. He deals 500 additional damage factor every second for 3 seconds. So that's why you grab Latent Power for this army instead of putting the points in health and defense like you would normally, similar to my Bai Chi Liu Che build. Definitely a little slow right now compared to some of the other marches that I use, but I do actually have quite good march speed for my tech here for infantry. I think I came all the way up. Yeah, Swift Marching 3 is maxed out for infantry, so I don't have to worry about that as much. A lot of times my slowest march is going to be the number 3 march that we're going to talk about today, and that is none other than Emperor Qin with Zhuge Liang. Now this army is not necessarily new. I do think I used Emperor Qin a little bit in my last kvk, but I didn't get to show off this army in an actual video. So we're rocking, of course, Emperor Qin with Zhuge Liang. This is easily probably the best march in the entire game right now. I mean, Emperor Qin is just an absolute demon here. Taking a look at the equipment, I actually think there's only 2 small changes. First of all, we've got the tier 2 ancestral mask of Night. I don't remember exactly why I did that, but I grabbed a little extra archer health by going and doing that, and then I also brought the legs up to iconic tier 3. Realistically, I did this as part of a alliance mobilization quest where I actually, by spending some legendary materials, you can complete the quest. This was just one of the easiest things for me to upgrade, so I brought this up to iconic tier 3. Probably not the best strategy or reason to upgrade a piece, but it gets me closer to that 1% all damage on the map, which is pretty nice. And these are the leadership legs, which means I can technically flex these to any other troop type in the future. I mean, they don't have a special talent yet or anything like that, so all in all, I don't feel bad about investing into the leadership legs whatsoever. Now this is one of the reasons that my Bai Chi no longer has the Ring of Doom, and that is because before, when I was running Zhuge Liang with Hermann Prime, I was running the Ring with Horn, and of course you don't really need the Horn of Fury with Emperor Qin, especially because Zhuge Liang's expertise gives you a bunch of rage whenever he casts his active skill or his 4th skill. So with that rage engine, and with the way that Emperor Qin starts with a bunch of rage and he runs off of rage consumption, really you don't need the Horn of Fury. And so I took the Horn of Fury off, and I thought, okay, well, where should I put that? So I moved it to my Bai Chi so that way I can move that ring somewhere else, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But basically I just had an extra horn lying around now, so we went ahead and moved some things around. On top of that, I also got the special talent for Dragon's Breath boots. This became an instant priority for me once Emperor Chin came into the game, because it was just so clear that I wanted all the extra stats here, all the extra march speed. This is really a no-brainer. I mean, this, you know, Zhuge Liang still has no march speed, right? So getting the fastest archer that you can with Zhuge Liang is really important, and of course I get more defense and stuff here as well. So all in all, small improvements to the equipment here, but having 3 special talents and everything a minimum of tier 2 except for the accessories, I'm pretty happy with how Emperor Chin has been performing here. Taking a look at the formation, only one change has happened here. Now, first of all, I did lose a little bit of attack. I lost 0.9% attack. I gained 0.1% defense, and I lost 1.7% health, but I gained 1.5% all damage, and I gained focus fire, which gives me a 4% boost to skill damage dealt. So I technically lost 1% of stats here, but once you factor in how much more valuable all damage is compared to health, I really walk away with probably an extra, I would say 1% of stats equivalent, and I walk away with focus fire, which is a 4% boost to skill damage. That was a no-brainer trade for me. This was, I believe, something that I actually used conversion stones to pull this over to my archers. I think maybe I actually got lucky grabbing it. I don't remember exactly, but either way, tried to improve the archer defense, couldn't get it to work. All in all, I'm pretty happy with this. Of course, the next step for this formation is getting Hunter. I feel like Hunter is a must-have for this formation, so if at the end of this kvk I get a chance to grab that, fantastic. I'll be grabbing Hunter and we'll be slapping it over onto my archers, and that will be even better. But for right now, I feel like 10.4% archer attack, 11% defense. The health isn't as important because, as you guys know, we've got tons of health on Emperor Chin and on Zhuge Liang, so really sacrificing the health for almost 5% all damage is definitely a sacrifice I was willing to make. And honestly, like 3 of these pieces have that all damage. It feels really good. As far as talents go for Emperor Chin with Zhuge Liang, this is what I am currently running here. We do not grab Feral Nature, and we instead grab 3 points in Rejuvenate, 3 points in Clarity, 3 points in Razor Sharp, and then 3 points in Whistling Arrows. So you still get a little bit of damage bonus here with Whistling Arrows, but there's just, you're 2 points shy of maxing this out. Again, this is a really nice build because you can save a bunch of points here from Feral Nature because of the way that Emperor Chin works with Zhuge Liang. Like I said before, Zhuge Liang's expertise gives you some extra rage, and because Emperor Chin starts with a lot of extra rage and he's based off of rage consumption, you don't really need that Horn of Fury, you don't really need the Feral Nature, and so you're able to use a different archer talent build than you normally would if you were doing something like Zhuge Liang Herman or any of the other archer skill talent tree commanders over the years. Moving on to my 4th March, this is Arthur with Philip. Now this might be changing. I'm gonna test this out in my upcoming fights most likely, but I'll probably be swapping the Philip for a William. I'll explain that in a little bit, but for right now throughout this kvk, this is what I have been using. And compared to last kvk, I'm pretty sure the only changes with this set are that I got the special talent on the boots and I brought it to iconic tier 2. Now getting the special talent on these boots actually wasn't intentional. This was another one of those moments where I was playing the game at like 5-6 in the morning or something like that, and I thought that I was on the Awaken tab, but I was actually on the Refine tab, and so I meant to just get the boots to iconic tier 2, but instead I refined the boots and it gave them a 75% refinement level. So at least I got pretty lucky with the refinement, but really I didn't need to refine these boots. It was purely an accident. So because they were at 75% already, I knew the next refine was going to be a guaranteed crit, so I just went ahead and got the crit on them anyway. It gives me an extra 2.5% health, 1 base health, and 0.5% of attack. It's fine, it is what it is. I'll probably just leave it at iconic tier 2 for now because I don't really need the march speed on this march. Maybe that's crazy, I don't know, but I'll come back to it eventually. It's just not really a priority. Besides that, there's really no change to the equipment here, but the changes to the Delta formation are probably a bit more noticeable. So I gained 0.4% attack here for the Delta formation. I lost 0.1% defense, which is totally fine. I gained 0.8% health, and I think my all damage remained the same. Yeah, it looks like it remained exactly the same. So all in all, it's like a 1.1% increase in stats, but when you take the all damage equivalent, it's probably about a 3% increase in stats. But the biggest change is actually the inscription. So before, I had a 1 rare inscription and 4 common inscriptions, and now I have 1 special inscription, 2 rare inscriptions, and 2 common inscriptions. So of course we threw Thrasher on here the last time I had access to the shop. This gives me a boost to combo damage. Really nice stuff here. I also was able to get my hands on Causative. This was the most recent addition to my Delta formation. I actually used conversion stones to flip this over here because the 8% more likely to trigger is just really nice when you're using Philip's instant proc, or when you're using William's instant proc, or when you're using any other talent or anything like that that has a chance of something occurring. Having Causative is really nice. Obviously butterfly effect is better, but you know, until I get lucky with that, this will have to do. I also grabbed Relentless, which is a 3.5% boost to combo attack damage dealt. Again, really nice stuff here. It's just a straight up boost to the active skill for my King Arthur. And so all in all, I got an improvement in stats, and I got a special talent and an extra rare talent, and we kept elite and assertive here. So all in all, that's an extra 3% all damage total. This is really fantastic stuff here. I'm really happy with my Delta formation at the moment. We have a nice stat spread, so I feel really good about that. Of course, more all damage would be nice, but at the end of the day, the current stat spread I think is really good. So really not focusing too much on the Delta formation for right now. I think I've made really good progress here. As far as talents go for King Arthur, we come all the way up to Iron and Steel in the combo tree. We put 5 points here. We have a couple of points left over, so we throw them into Impenetrable. We'll talk about this in a second, but as far as the Cav tree, we put 4 points into Emblazoned Shield because now more than ever it's super important to take less skill damage with Emperor Chin on the battlefield. We have 3 points in Undying Fury, 3 points in Halberd, so you really can punish those archers. That's really what you're going to be relying on your King Arthur to do out in the battlefield. And then the extra few points that we have left over, we can't really put them in the cavalry tree because we only have 4 points, right? So you would put 3 into attack and then 1 into march speed. That's not that useful. Instead, we put the 4 points over here. Previously, I actually grabbed A Good Day to Die, but I found that King Arthur with Philip is just a bit too squishy, and so I'd rather grab the taking 2% less damage under 50%. Really, this is a micro optimization whether you go for the offense or the defense here, but really I felt like it would make more sense to go for Impenetrable, so I flipped it over to that side just to make him like just a hair more tanky, I guess. But with that being said, let's take a look at my 5th and final army, and that is none other than Hua with Joan. And this is I actually think that this has not changed at all in terms of equipment and armaments. I'm planning eventually to get these to iconic tier 2 for the extra attack, but really that's not a priority for me, and that's because right now I feel like this is my worst performing march out of all of my marches, and that's because this is Hua is a single target damage commander. He's feeling a bit power crept right now when you look at things like Bai Chi, you look at things like Emperor Chin, King Arthur, even Zhuge Liang and Liu Che, like it just, his single target damage just doesn't feel enough right now. So realistically, and also I guess I should say, I'm really not looking to improve this wedge set for my cavalry either. All in all, I actually really like this set. We've got Hunter, we've got Boiling Blood and Defiant. Really nice stuff here. 2 rares, a special, and then Artisan of course is pretty good for skill damage. We have 5.3% all damage on top of that, a bunch of defense and not as much attack or health, but realistically I can't complain about this. I really like that. But again, just like with my Ragnar Prime with CPO Prime, I am not focusing on skill damage for cavalry anymore, and so this is quite literally at the bottom of the barrel in terms of things that I need to improve. I guess technically I could re-roll this for archer stats and not even have to use conversion stones, which is definitely something that I am considering here because I can still lock the all damage and just try to re-roll the top 2. But anyway, I'm not going to touch anything cav related until we see the next cavalry reveal. And also I want to see what the new kvk commanders are going to be for the upcoming Trojan War kvk. So who knows what's coming down the pipeline for cavalry, so I'm just going to leave everything how it is for now. Of course, when it comes to talents for my Hua Zhong, this is what I'm rocking. This is the tried and true cavalry skill damage talent build. This is like the most frequently used talent build on all skill cavalry commanders, just like with Nevsky back in the day, right? You grab Emblazoned Shield, you grab Undying Fury, you grab Feral Nature, and you're good to go. You're done. But I did say earlier that I might be switching around the cav lineups, and what I might do for upcoming fights is actually just straight up bench Hua and just kind of wipe my hands clean of him and run the Arthur with William, and then run the Joan of Arc Prime primary with Philip as the secondary. Now that march is gonna be incredibly squishy, but at least we've got the AoE on the primary here, we've got the supportive nature of Philip, and you know, I can't do it with the 2700 single target. I just can't do it. It's just not pulling its weight. So I guess what I'm saying is that I'm considering benching Hua for William the First, which is kind of insane because of how old William is. But like, even though his damage factor is low, it's 1600, but it's to 3 targets, and removing skill damage buffs from Emperor Qin in the field is really nice. Plus you get a ton of attack here. You also have the instant proc for over 1000 damage factor. It is to 1 target, but you know, it's still pretty nice. And we've got this the extra defense and the rage on the 4th skill, so it's a bit more supportive than whatever Hua is doing. If I did switch to Joan primary with Philip secondary, I would probably run this talent build: 2 points into rejuvenate, 3 into emergency protection, 4 in emblazoned shield, and then you've got enough points to put only 3 into disarm. So it's something. It's not all 4 points, but it's something there. And then we put 3 points into Undying Fury. So I don't know, I'm still on the fence here. I'm still deciding what I should do for upcoming fights, but at the end of the day, Hua does have a lot of stats, a lot of defense, a lot of extra skill damage, and he does hit 1 target pretty hard. So I don't know, I'm still on the fence, but I'll get back to you guys on what I actually end up doing. But at the end of the day, the Hua Zhong it's still solid, but like the other marchers are like really outperforming, and this march is just like average, right? It's just like, it's average. Some of its trades are really good, but at the end of the day, like it's fine. It's just, it is what it is. So I don't know, we'll have to see. But guys, that's gonna do it for my 5 army lineup here in Rise of Kingdoms, right before Pass 7 and then Kingsland. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you have any advice on what I should do to these? Do you think I should re-roll that hunter armament from my Hua over to my Emperor Qin and get the most bang for my buck out of it? Let me know down in the comment section below, and while you're down there, consider dropping a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it, and consider subscribing if you're down there and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.